Well, let's jump to the bad news, I guess.
There's more bad news.
Oh yeah, it's a different kind of bad news for all the people that think, you know what, I don't live in these cities. I don't care what New York does. I don't care what California does. I've been saying that. I'm like, hey, look, I live in the middle of nowhere. Well, here you go, everybody. The blue state exodus. Americans fled New York and California for Republican states of Arizona, Idaho, and the Sun Belt to escape lockdowns and skyrocketing crime. So, the people who voted in these crooks and criminals and the Democrats who bring about failed policies and all those who overlap will now be coming to where you live and voting for those exact same things. So
they are going to vote the same.
Yep.
And I think this goes back to what I was saying, because I will stand by this. I think that the liberals have a sense that they have a moral high ground. I think they believe in their morality. I don't think. I
don't think so.
I think they do.
I think some maybe.
I think that's the ethos. I mean, I don't know about, for example, Joy Reid or whoever else in the media, but individuals that I speak to who are on the left are pretty sure that their empathy and compassion based approaches to, politics and whatever are exactly right, that this is the moral perspective to have.
I disagree. I think they're paranoid, delusional psychopaths who hold different paradoxical moral views that make no sense, such as
they do make no sense. I'm not saying their moral baseline makes sense.
There's no moral framework.
No, it's not effective, but they believe it.
There's no, I don't think, I don't think you can say they believe things that contradict each other because then one contradicts the other. Like when they come out and say, stop Asian hate, and we need to end these things, and then you point out that the specific attack they're highlighting. So for example, they did a march to end white nationalism because a black man attacked an Asian guy.
That's correct.
How can you have a moral framework when they're like, it's...
There was an article that came out shortly after that defined, a black person attacking an Asian person as white supremacy because of ingrained white supremacy.
Yeah. But that's et cetera. I'm imagining trying to build a system of morals.
Whether it's
but it's like that's
logical or not. That's what makes it a religion. It's not logical.
I understand what you're saying about belief. But I don't think belief is the right word, because if you show them a picture of a blue cube and say, what color is this? And they say red. And then you say, close your eyes and open your eyes. Now, what color is it? They say green. How do they believe it's both red and green at the same time when it's blue? You see my point?
I mean, are there four lights? I mean, it's like,
it's not belief. It's like, it's something else. It's zealotry. It's blind faith that whatever they're doing makes sense even when it doesn't. They don't believe one thing. They don't believe that you should stop Asian hate when they cheer for the beating of Andy No.
That's correct.
They don't want to end white nationalism.
But they think they do.
I think,
or maybe even more, they feel they do.
The reason I disagree, I agree to a certain extent, but if the thing they believe in changes every minute, how can you say they believe it?
Because I think they do.
But how can they? So it's like, if you ask them, do you think...
You're saying, how can people have the kind of cognitive dissonance that makes them believe in a complete moral fallacy?
No. How can you say someone believes that Asians are oppressed when literally a minute after they say it, you ask them again and they'll say they're not oppressed? So clearly the second time they say something totally different, contradictory to what they said before, they can't believe the first thing or the second thing.
Or they're just not actually thinking anything through with any kind of framework.
Yeah. So there's no belief structure there.
That's
it's literally
what I'm saying.
just my
tribe. I don't
tribe.
think it's a structure.
You're my enemy and I will fight you.
I think that there's a righteousness. And I think that there's a feeling of moral superiority. I don't think it checks out.
I think it's actually much more simple. They don't believe anything other than you are the enemy. And if you approach them and say anything that falls outside of their cult, they'll just say, no matter what it is, I'll agree with it if it means I'm opposed to you.
Right, but how are we supposed to have a dialogue with these people?
You don't.
But they're half the country. Like, aren't we pretty much like split? It was like 75 million voted for Trump and like 81 million voted for Biden or something like that. So how are we supposed to deal with this? I mean, do you really think that we're looking at a future where we're going to have an America that's divided?
Yes. I mean, we already are.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at a story.
Why can't we try and imagine a better future than that?
Well, I think there's realism and idealism. We have the story we literally pulled up is that people are fleeing states for other states. What's happening in a lot of ways, if you look at like New York during the pandemic, is that the wealthy people of means flee to the suburbs and they flee to red states. Now, many of them may actually start and probably will start voting for Democrat policies, but the people in California who like their tribe and their strange moral shifting sands will stay there. Gavin Newsom can violate all the lockdowns, can be found in the fancy restaurant with no mask on, and they stand by him simply because that's what they're supposed to do. Fauci can change his answer every other day, and he did. And they'll stand by him because our tribe is the right tribe. The divide is becoming so insane that right now, there's no agreement on what reality even is.
No, that's very peculiar.
You ask someone on the left.
No one even knows what men and women are anymore.
Exactly. And I go to my friends and I'll say, I see a post on my Facebook from someone I've known from, when I was growing up in Chicago, and they'll say, look at this insurrection in DC and all that. And I'll talk to them and say, I hear you. It was bad. What's your opinion on the Antifa BLM riots? And they say, what riots?
Right, they say that
literally
it's not even
a
real.
year of people in every major city and even small towns smashing up windows, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not true. That never happened.
Stuff is still going down in Minneapolis, I think.
It is, absolutely.
Because of,
Drive-by shootings.
Seattle, Portland.
But I think there have been like riots and stuff in Minneapolis recently.
Yeah, Portland,
Just
Seattle
even
as well.
I mean, just even coming in, I saw like there's a bunch of demonstrations in Midtown Manhattan, and police are like on Twitter, stay away from the demonstration in Midtown Manhattan.
In my opinion, what's happening right now is sort of what happened in Orwell, and I think this is planned, organized insanity, chaos, where the ruling elites get order out of chaos. And just like in 1984, they had people admit that 2 + 2 = 5. There's literally people arguing on Twitter that 2 + 2 = 5 right now because math is sexist, and that's not even a joke. And I actually had your article that you mentioned up, ready to talk about this before you even brought it up. And this was an article that Yahoo News published that was titled, "White Supremacy is the Root of All Race-Related Violence in the United States." And it says in there, quote, "So when a black person attacks an Asian person, the encounter is fueled perhaps by racism, but very specifically by white supremacy. White supremacy does not require a white person to perpetrate it."
It's a cult.
Yeah, it's
a
insanity.
cult.
Well, that's it. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, there doesn't need to be continuity in it, right? Because, like, people have this yearning to, like, be part of something, and people have this yearning to be part of something bigger than them, and it doesn't always need to have all the answers in order to provide those services for what they're looking for. Like, this is way more than a political ideology. This is like a lifestyle. This is like a mindset.
It's a religion.
A community. It's a religion.
I think
Absolutely.
it's a religion.
Like, it's
John
serving
McWhorter
all
says
the
that
purposes.
too.
And, like, if you talk to somebody, like, and I'm not, like, if you talk to somebody who's really religious and you show them, dinosaur bones, right? There are a million different answers, depending on who you talk to, that justify and reconcile the religion with the dinosaur bones, even if it totally undermines what they're saying.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
They were put there to test us.
Exactly. That's common. And so, and at least religion comes by it honestly. At least religion is like, I'm a religion. But this is different because it's a political ideology, and it has to do with wielding power, and it has to do with policy, and it affects all of us. Like, at least religious people are chilling. Like, they're not bothering you.
The Catholic Church certainly used to be like that, though. I mean,
fair enough. But
like in Quebec especially, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, of course. But I just mean, like, this is a Democrat. Like, this is a major party.
Now, I'll put it this way. I grew up in an era when the moral, religious, conservatives were, pushing religion and pushing this ideology, and it wasn't this bad. Because I'll tell you this. As much as I can say I believe in a separation of church and state, I don't think we should have religion in schools or whatever. One of the problems we have right now is that the cult of woke, whatever these people are, it doesn't even matter what their moral framework is or what their beliefs are. They don't have one, by the way. It's shifting sands. But it's just whatever their tribe says is right. It's right no matter what. It is a religion. And how do you separate what their religion is from government and from schools? The other thing I'll mention is, at the very least, the moral framework from the Judeo-Christian values that have created a lot of this country, they provide for innocence until guilt is proven. They provide for a lot of the rights that we have, God-given rights. Now, I'm not a big fan of any specific religion or theism or anything like that, but I can certainly look at one religion where they're like, okay, you get a Fifth Amendment. The other group, the other religion says, we don't care if you're guilty or not, we're going to burn you at the stake. That's actually the joke we make about the Salem witch trials. If, what's the Monty Python thing? If she floats, then she weighs the same as a duck, and also a wood weight. Like, it made no sense. They were condemning you without due process.
If she floats, she's a witch, and if she drowns, she's innocent.
Well, that was the actual...
that was the actual thing.
If she drowns, she's innocent. what they're doing now with cancel culture, they've become religious moral zealots.
And it's interesting, too, because if you, like, without the Enlightenment, we never get rid of slavery.
Yeah. Another thing we should acknowledge here is that the Bible is currently being written through social media algorithms. And I do think social media algorithms are making people go insane. And that's another aspect we really have to entertain here, because ever since we had the onset of social media, we had self-harm, suicides, depressions, anxiety, panic attacks, other mental disorders drastically go up. And I think, we're trying to understand the madness. It's madness. It's insanity. It's people who are not well off, who are off of their rocker, who are saying if a black person attacks an Asian person, it's white people who are responsible for this, which is utterly crazy to even think about. It's people arguing 2 + 2 = 5. Literally, these people, are not right in the head. They've been institutionalized. They've been going along with what society expects of them, what is planned by them, by the elites, going to school, going into their indoctrination camps, going in through watching the television, paying attention to social media, and not even getting a point of view out of that control grid that is shaping these minds to be where they are right now, where there's people talking about fat phobia being racist. There's toddlers twerking in New York City, a place where 6 people were shot last night, and the mayor right now, his major initiative is regulating scooters.
Let's talk about where
come on, those are really annoying.
I love scooters.
Let's talk about where this ideology leads us.
The one thing though I would like to say is so all of this woke religion comes after the decimation of mainstream Christianity, and I think it shows us that society wants religion.
Yeah,
definitely.
And society wants a religion, and if we don't actually embark upon the creation of religion in a reasonable way, we're going to end up with complete batshit madness.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.